Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. If you have ever opened the client of Raid Shadow Legends, you have probably noticed that the game is very good at giving you suggestions on how to spend money on the game. Many suggestions. And hey, people have different types of spending patterns in games. Some people like to buy a lot of offers. They might not even consider that to be a lot of money because some people just have money to spend. Some people don't maybe have money to spend or don't like to spend money and they want to play completely free to play. And some people are somewhere in between, spending a little or spending a lot, but still a little bit more carefully looking into what kind of offers are these and want to compare that. And I definitely fall into that category. I'm open to spending money on a game, but I also want to know that, hey, am I buying a good deal or am I buying a bad deal? I like to compare them all. And in Raid, that is a little bit difficult because there are so many different bundles. But there is a win-win-win here. Because this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, they are paying me to compare all of their bundles and see what I would like to buy. And as part of that sponsorship, they also gave me this download code. So if you want to start a new Raid account, either your main account or a secondary account, you can use the QR code on the screen, or you can use the link down below in the description and get an account that gets Elenaril at the start and then Tagoar and Uugo fairly early in the game. So pretty good champions. But about those items to buy in Raid. So what do you in general want to buy in Raid? Well, gems are always a good thing to have. Energy is always a good thing to have. The more energy, the more you can just do all sorts of things in the game. Chickens are typically good early on, but they lose value over time. So early on, when it's hard for you to farm, it's hard for you to create food. That means that chickens just allow you to get some of your first champions or even the very first champion to 6 stars, and that's going to help you a lot in your progress. Then, of course, shards are fun. Shards give you new champions. And when it comes to shards, you want to pay special attention to sacred shards. Because sacred shards can only give epics 94% of the time and legendaries 6% of the time. They never give you uncommons, they never give you rares. They also can't give you mythicals, but they never roll really low either. Whereas primal shards, which are the way to get mythicals, one of the ways to get mythicals anyway, but they will give you rares 82.5% of the time. So if you get primal shards, yeah, sometimes you can roll really high, but most of the time you're just not going to get much special. So you really want to focus on those sacred shards when you look for shards. And you want to typically open your shards during various events that give you increased chances to get stuff. Not just increased chance to get like a specific type of champion, but increased chance for a rarity or increased number of champions, something like that. And as it happens, there's going to be an Asian shard good event coming tomorrow by the time I'm making this video. Of course, if you're watching this video sometime later, then you have to check whether there are events going on at that time. And on with that information, let's take a look at what Raid has to offer. It's impossible to list all the offers. There are so many and they're not all being offered to me. There's some A/B testing going on as well. But I will give you some general guidelines and look into some of the offers that are being offered to everybody. So first, the tier S bundles. The first things, if you want to spend money on Raid, what are the first things that you want to spend money on? And I've only come across 2 tier S bundles, and one of those is only offered in the very early game. The one that's available at all times to all players is the Daily Gem Pack, and it's 11.99 euros for 2,140 gems over a period of 30 days. And this beats almost all other offers by 2 times or even 3 times the value of most offers. There are very few offers that are even half of the value of this one. So this is the thing. If you want to spend money on Raid, this is the very first thing you should get, because this is just far superior to everything else. But I mentioned that there is another tier S bundle, and that tier S bundle is the Advanced Apprentice Pass. So very early on at the start of the game, 17.99 euros, you can get the Apprentice Pass, and if you get the Advanced Pass, you will get enough 4-star chickens to make a 5-star champion. You will get enough 5-star chickens to make a 6-star champion. You will get 5 5-star chickens from this pack. And that means that you will have enough chickens to just get your starter champion all the way to 6 stars and all the way to level 60 and get it much readier to farm. And that's just a huge difference in your progress. It also gives you a top tier epic champion. At least mine gave Rector Drath, which is another bonus. So this is just wonderful. it is built so that if you play a lot, then you will be time gated by a couple of days before you get to that 6 stars. And then you're offered additional levels for the pass so that you can bypass that time gating. Depending on how much you really want to grind, I typically wouldn't buy those additional levels, and I didn't mind the couple of days of waiting for the 6 star on my own account, but I did buy this pass and I had a good time with this, and it made the early game just so much smoother. Beyond those two things, it gets harder to build stuff. So, for example, tier A bundles, some limited time offers are actually pretty good. For example, I was offered this Warrior Circle pack, and I was allowed to pick myself the things that I want in this one. And I could have picked some really bad things and made that pack really worthless, but I ended up picking 800 gems, 9 energy refills, 750,000 silver for 11.99. If you want to buy just like the regular shop prices, 730 gems is already 24 euros. So I'm getting 800 gems for less. And even if you compare this to the daily gem pack, obviously this is far away from that, but it's still not that bad. So that would be like an example of a tier A bundle. And another one would be 2 sacred shards for 18 euros. So sacred shard, that's the shard that I want to look for. Only gives me epics, only gives me legendaries, so I'm going to get some high value champions out of that. 2 of those for 18 euros. That's a pretty decent deal. And if you want to spend more, we get into tier B bundles, the next level of value. Then we get into many of these progress packs and some of these limited packs and Forge Pass early in your account's history. So Forge Pass gives you rewards. I actually have a video evaluating Forge Pass. It doesn't give you new champions, but it gives you a lot of gear. For example, the current Forge Pass when I'm making this video gives you Slayer gear. You're going to be able to craft more than 200 pieces of 5 to 6 star Slayer gear. And if you have a new account, you have like a dozen 5-star pieces overall, it's hard to get good gear. So you typically don't want to buy gear because gear is so random. It's so random getting those good rolls. But if you can get more than 200 rolls and you're early on, you don't have any good gear basically on your champions, then that's also something that's really going to help you progress. But its value goes down as your account becomes better, and then you just don't need it anymore that much. Then there's this like level 30 pack here, and as you can see, this level 30 pack is actually pretty close to the monthly pack. These are almost identical, also price-wise. They're kind of okay, but now we're getting 1 sacred shard. We're also getting some void shards and ancient shards, which are not worthless, but I could have gotten 2 sacred shards for 18. And now I'm getting 1 sacred shard plus stuff for 36. So you can see that this is now a tier below the previous one. But these are still much better prices than the ones that are baseline in the shop. Then we get into tier C bundles. These also have some advantages, but the value is going down. And curiously enough, many of the daily packs go into this category. So the daily gems are just so much better than daily sacreds or daily energy. You would imagine that, hey, daily packs, those are going to be good value because daily then it's going to be available over time and they're going to pack that with good value. And well, these are better than the baseline shop values, but the daily gems is just so much better than either of these. Then also the starter pack. The starter pack, I mean, ancient shards, void shard, but still it doesn't give that much anything really spectacular. There's no sacred shard in it, for example. So, I mean, it's okay, but even though you would imagine, hey, starter pack, that's the one thing that I want to buy, but it's not. It was the Apprentice Pass and the daily gems that were the things that you really wanted to buy if you wanted to buy something. And also the Forge Pass. Later on, when you don't need that gear anymore that much, then Forge Pass goes down to tier C, maybe even borderline tier D. And finally, we get into these tier D bundles, pretty much all the rest of the bundles. And here it's notable that progress packs and many of these flash offers, you will never see this again if you don't buy it now. Many of these are actually tier D. That was quite surprising to me when I really started to work on the numbers, because I expected like starter packs, progress packs, something that's offered to you for a very limited time flash offers, these to be high value, but typically they are not. So just because an offer is time gated, just because offer is limited, doesn't always make it valuable in raid. You have to know which ones are actually good, or you can try to calculate them, of course, as well, based on what their contents are. But yeah, some pretty surprising results, at least to me, on what offers are good and what offers are bad. But the winner overall is very, very clear. There's absolutely no contest. The best single thing that you can buy in Raid is the Daily Gem Pack. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.